Well, well, well. Look who decided to come back and listen. Or, if you're a new listener, welcome to the Sarcastically Optimistic podcast hosted by yours truly, Rummel Requerme. So, let's get this out of the way real quick. One big comment that was made from the last episode, aka episode 0, start here. Shout out to ya boy. Check it out. Still there. Is that I didn't properly introduce myself. Apparently, I just said my name and I just instantly went into the topic, and that's very, very true. And I don't have any regrets about that. But, for the sake of trying new things, let's try this again. Name, Rummel Requerme. Age, 24. Gonna be 25 in April. Wink, wink. No need to get me a present. I usually eat pizza in bed and occasionally spend time with my family. Mostly the pizza in bed. Why was this podcast made? Wow, I'm glad that you didn't ask, but I'm going to explain anyways. You know that feeling of being lost? And this is not an infomercial. Yes, that feeling of being lost, feeling that you're not enough, is a common feeling. And it's not dependent on age, meaning that you can experience it in any point of your life. You can be not even in high school yet and experience that. You being in high school, being in college, again, it's more palpable. It's more, you can feel it a little bit more when you're in college, or even, God forbid, even after college, you feel it so badly. And that's real. And I want, it's not about me. This podcast is created to let you know that that's completely normal, because we live in a society where we believe that overnight successes are a real thing. And we believe that, you can be TikTok famous after one TikTok. And after all this stuff, like working the 9 to 5, work from home, all this crazy things that are happening in the world, which are not normal, right? It makes you feel a little less about yourself. And this podcast was created as a conversation, meaning that it's not about me, my, me, mo, my, me, I, this. It's actually about you. You, two, we, the French word we, as in yes, but also we, as in you and me. That was a very unsuccessful rhyme, and I apologize. But this is supposed to be extremely intimate, not too intimate, but a conversation between you and me about how you being here, taking the time to listen to this, is an act of you taking a step forward, knowing that you are taking steps closer to ultimately the person you're going to be and want to be one day. Okay? Now, feeling like you are enough because, one, you are enough. And that's the only thing I'm going to mention. You are enough. That is something that I feel I never heard when I was growing up. And I feel like we live in a society where it's most needed now, where people are constantly comparing themselves to The Rock. Like, why am I not built like The Rock? Why don't I have hair like The Rock? Why don't I not sound like The Rock? Put the phone down real quick. You are enough. Those people on social media, it's all photoshopped. You know that. But jokes aside, going through high school and college, I have never encountered a single person that was supposed to counsel me to tell me that I was enough. And I am here to tell you that you are enough. Even post-college, where you have to rely mostly on your family and friends to tell you that, it's that term, you are enough, is as scarce as the water in Hoover Dam. And I don't know if you guys seen that thing, but that thing is dried up. It's pretty dry up there now. You are enough, right? And me going through high school, the counselors actually told me quite the opposite. You don't deserve to be saying, no one deserves to be called not enough. No one deserves to be called something that they're not. You are exactly where you need to be. You are valid in all aspects. And I keep pushing this valid thing. I keep stealing this from counselors and stuff, or a counseling book. But what I mean by that is that you have a purpose. And you being here listening to this, I thank you, because you're spending this time with me, and I can never ask for anything more, because the most precious commodity that we have in this life is time. And that's what you're giving me right now. And it's not going to be parasitic. I hope that you do gain something from this podcast. But thank you for being here. And shout out to all my listeners, including my students. Again, I totally skipped the whole part to say that I am currently a high school teacher, and I unapologetically advertise this to all my students. So shout out to my students out there. Progress reports are due tomorrow. So I just keep looking. I just finished grading right now, and I feel like death incarnate. So don't hate me after this. Hopefully you're still listening. Hopefully I can still have you as my students next sem. Anyways, moving on. Welcome to episode 1. What is episode 1 about? Did you read the title? If you're driving, please don't take the time to read the title. I have no idea what I'm going to title this, to be quite honest. You kind of have to make up these things on the fly. But one thing I want to talk about is these great conversations that you have with people. And I had a very, very good conversation with my mother today, which is great. If you guys don't know, is that, I live in an apartment with my roommate, Daniel, who gave me this mic, by the way. Shout out to him. Check out his podcast. And my parents live in Victorville. Oh, God, I just revealed where they live. Please don't swat them. So my mom was in town, and we spent time together. And let's just say that she's experiencing more than the average person should be experiencing, especially in a pandemic. So she's definitely in one of the lowest points, right, like in her life. And I'm glad to be there for her. So we went out, we had lunch, and we talked about great things, bad stuff, like bad memories, of course, and tough times, good times, and all that things. And we talked about just life in general. And I think life is just all about having those conversations. And that's why this podcast has been manifested, because of those conversations, out of love and out of care. Because we really seek those conversations, those levels of intimacy where we can feel one with one person and be on the same frequency as them. So one thing that came up was actually something I brought into one of my speeches in college. And this is a really dumb quote, but just bear with me here, especially my accents. I'm still working on it. I want to be a voice actor. No, I'm just kidding. The quote goes, "Do not count your days. Make your days count." And before you start laughing to yourself, if you already did, that's completely fine. Give it a second. Okay, and we're back. So what does that mean? Don't count your days. Make your days count. That's extremely important, right? For us 9-to-5ers out there, we're counting the days up until the weekend, the 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, that we have to ourselves and away from all of the hubbub of work, right? And then you quickly realize that 2 days out of the 7 is not really enough, right? And that's just not enough for self-care, self-love, all the things that you need to be doing for yourself. Don't count your days. So what I mean by that, or what the person who made up that quote, because again, this is a quote that's been going around and circulating a lot, is that it means that we are always wanting something. We always want the next big thing. And this is very, very, very prevalent in the tech industry, where we want the new big phone, the iPhone 27, the iPhone 11, all that good stuff. And you always want the next big thing. And you never feel complacent with what you have. Actually, you do feel complacent, and that's why you want something novel. Complacent means that you're comfortable. You're extremely comfortable. You kind of settled, right? So what I want you to do is think about when you received, let's say, your phone for the first time, or your laptop for the first time. Do you recall just being very careful about putting it down, cleaning it like every day, just being really diligently careful with how you place it? Sorry, I keep hitting my mic. Apologies to your eardrums. Do you recall that time, right? Like you're just really careful about that device. But then give it a couple days, maybe even a couple hours. We don't know. You're just like tossing it around like it's like just a piece of sausage. Wait, that was a really bad analogy. But you're just tossing around like there's no value to it. But that was the same thing that you placed such a great value on literally like 2 weeks ago before you got it, right? Sooner or later, we reach this level of complacency. We reach this level of which we are like, this novel object, right? This phone that I have here, when I first had it, I was like elated. I was like, oh my God, it's green. It's an iPhone. I am the greatest human being alive. You know that feeling? But then I give it a couple weeks. I'm just like, it's just another phone. And I'm just texting the same people and some new people. But it just becomes so normalized. Like it doesn't feel new anymore. And then what's next? You look at the next big thing. You're like, damn, iPhone 13? This is iPhone 12. Like I just got this. So that is completely normal. You wanting to have more is completely normal. And again, it's because we're conditioned in society to keep wanting more. We keep counting our days for the next big thing. And let me tell you this. right? The biggest thing about that is that it's going to be extremely detrimental at the end of the day. Because if you're waiting until Saturday and Sunday to actually give yourself some self-love right from your 9 to 5, you're doing something wrong. If you didn't take time to do something that you enjoy, at least one thing a day, you're, not living life to its fullest. You're counting the days for the next big thing. But little do you know is that when you reach that finish line, that day that you acquire, right? Let's just say Saturday, and you're like, oh my God, like I'm going to get on Saturday, I'm going to get my new phone. It's going to be great. And then when you reach that, right? When you reach that finish line, the thing that you ultimately want, little do you know is that you kick the finish line a little bit further each time. As in, you get the phone, you feel good for a quick, hot second, and then you just want the next big thing. And then you feel jealous for someone who has the next big thing. You're kicking that finish line actively further and further than it's supposed to be, right? And life, again, like I mentioned in the first episode, is about the little things, right? It's about being consistently good, not occasionally great. You showing up every day is what's going to matter. Not the quality of which you show up, but you showing up every day is what's going to matter. As in you putting your best foot forward, you putting your best self forward for other people, for the sake of other people, for a lack of a better term, is what's going to count, right? Because in this society where we live in, where we want the next big thing, always, 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 something new, something bold, something novel, a novelty in life, sooner or later is going to be archaic. It's going to be old. It's going to be normalized. It's not going to feel new anymore. So what I'm saying is that we shouldn't be measuring the amount of days it's going to ultimately lead up to something big, because big things are happening right now at this very moment, right? You can literally change your life right now by making a small decision, by saying, I'm going to commit to one thing that I love every day, whether that be playing piano or learning piano or even drawing. Or again, it doesn't have to be creative arts. It can be something new. Like you can play a game, like video game. If if you've never done that in a long time and you thoroughly enjoy it, things that you thoroughly enjoy and love to do are things that you should be doing every day. Like again, like not too excessive with things. Like don't play like 8 hours of, video games every day, because that's not good, because that doesn't leave enough time for other things, such as spending time with family, even calling up your mom or your dad, who are not going to be there forever, is what counts. And that is a win in itself. That doesn't have to wait until Saturday or Sunday to happen. You can literally call them. And you know how many people out there wish that they can do the same thing as calling their mom and dad? I don't even have to tell you. And this got really dark, and I apologize, because having that conversation with my mom earlier made me realize how precious these times are. Today, I felt like crap because I got my booster shot. Shout out to Pfizer. But I took the time to console my mom and to talk with her. And, our conversation blossomed to something beautiful where we shared this connection about, the tough times that we faced, going through our lives. And although that there are very different times, like I grew up in the 2000s and she grew up in the 1700s. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. She's pretty old. This is probably where I'm going to receive a phone call from her, because she probably heard that. These are different times, but all of the adversities are exactly the same. And one of the things that she talked about is that she always rewarded herself at the end of the week, when it should have been a consistent self-love habit of doing it every day. And for her, it was visiting mom and dad, right? Like taking care of mom and dad. And that was what really drew her to the moment, right? The small wins were what really counted for her, not the big wins at the end of the week, not the ones that she had to count the days and wait and wait and wait. Why are we waiting? There are things out there that make us happy and make us feel loved, and we're refusing to, grasp it or embrace it in its biggest form. You are loved the way you are, right? But I feel a lot of you are underselling yourselves, because I met a lot of beautiful people in college. And I don't mean like physically, I mean like their minds and the way that their heart is on their sleeve every single time that you see them, even though they failed an exam and you see them like going down like Panda Express and you're like, oh my God, how are you doing? I took an exam and I failed it, but how are you doing? Right? They still have the heart to ask you how you're doing. And, them posing that conversation and checking in with you is a small win for them. They are altruistic people that enjoy to know that other people are happy around them, and God bless their souls. So, going back to don't count your days, make your days count. Things that make you happy, things that you love to do not have to be waited on. You do not have to wait for those things to happen. Unless it's the iPhone 27, because you probably have to wait a little bit. But you receiving a hug or a high five from someone that you love, sending a text message to someone that you love, is what really is going to make these days count. Because we live in a pandemic right now. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it's pretty crazy out there. And the workforce is constantly changing. People are leaving their jobs. People are feeling less and less loved because they're stuck at home. And all they can rely on is a FaceTime rather than a physical presence, which is, yes, very different from a FaceTime. We're grasping onto the littlest laurels that we can. And we need to make the most out of these days, because if we keep waiting and waiting, we're never going to realize that the small wins were always right in front of us. Again, whether it be a text to a friend or from a friend, checking in on someone that you haven't checked in a while, and stuff like that really gets me emotional, right? Like when people were messaging me about how I'm doing or things like that. These are things that, again, not normal, like not everyone does. But you being different, you taking the time, whether it be listening to a song that reminded you of someone and texting that someone that like, oh, I just thought of you because remember the song we used to sing and blast all the time, means the world to them. Knowing that you care about them, that you have that memory existing, that is a small win. Use that small memory and make people happy, right? Like you were here for a reason. And you're here, again, the purpose of life is to live it. But you are here to, again, spend it with others. And, of course, spend it with yourself and look in the mirror and give yourself some self-love, you beautiful animal. But also to understand that there are people out there that are rooting for you. Now, the small wins, again, don't have to be enjoyed by your lonesome. There are people out there, and shout out to my students out there, because I'm always rooting for you. Even though I may be angry sometimes because you don't know what a cell is, because I'm a biology teacher, by the way, I'm rooting for you always, because I know that you will become a great person someday. And whether you're a jerk or you think you're a jerk, you're not. Someone's going to love you the way you are, and you're going to be embraced for who you are by so many people in the future. And especially to my family and friends out there, again, I love you guys all. I love all you guys. That was a terrible... I love all of you guys, by the way. And I don't want to generalize that statement because, you know, when you text someone or you have this conversation with someone, just having that conversation just implies that you care about them in some regard, even if it's just very little, right? If you hate this person but you care about them still, that still counts as love. Love is what we need. And this idea of having these small wins being shared will really help, right? Again, these small wins that you experience in life, making these days count, don't have to be just on your shoulders the entire time. These small wins can be shared with others. You can have a conversation, a very intimate interaction with someone, and that is still a small win. And the reason why it's a win is because people, even though you may not see it, are rooting for you. I am rooting for you. You are here for a great big reason, and yet you still have to discover it, probably still, but your journey to that destination, and this is something that my dad said just a couple days ago, which is amazing because this is something that I really took to heart in college, is that it is not about the destination at the end of the day. It is about the journey, right? It's not about counting your days until Saturday, the big win, right? It's not about the destination. It is about the journey, the small steps that you make, the small indications, the small text that you send people to let them know that you care about them, that you're thinking about them. And they do the same for you, probably. And those are the most genuine people and the people you should probably keep closest to your heart. Okay? So, do not count your days. Make your days count. Because if you continue to count your days in the great words of Ferris Bueller in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might just miss it. Yeah, that's right. Go watch that movie. It's a great movie. So, this has gone on for way too long. I want to thank you guys again, really, for taking the time to listen. This one is slightly longer than the last one. I apologize. I'm not trying to make these like an hour, like some people do. Shout out to my hour homies out there. But I want to keep them short, simple, and sweet, just like me as a person. Just kidding. I hate myself. No, see, I just totally negated the entire thing I just said. Thank you guys for really listening. I really hope that you really took some key notes from this. Again, don't count your days, make your days count. Don't wait for that Saturday or Sunday to treat yourself. Again, it's, things in moderation is good. Don't do things in excess. Like, don't buy like 5 bobas for yourself like every day. Like bobas, like 5 boba balls, not 5 drinks. Nah, I'm just playing. Find a way to love yourself, or let your body know, and your mind, again, like your mind and body are 2 separate entities. Let them know that you love them. Whether it be watching a movie every day. Like one of my friends really loves watching a movie every day because it excites them and makes them feel so lively. Or it could be, again, like sipping tea. Sipping tea is great. I have tea right here for my visual listeners out there. It's a great time. Find a way to acquire those small wins as soon as possible, because for some people, one of their biggest regrets is not living life on their own terms. And it's because they were so focused on the destination, waiting for that big thing to happen. And, unfortunately, sometimes that big thing doesn't happen. Big things can happen right now. And again, those can be the small wins that you have for yourself, that you set up for yourself. Set yourself up for success by focusing on small wins than big wins, right? Because those little things, those small wins add up. When you're exercising, I know the ab workout sucks, but if you do like a small ab workout like every day for like 3-5 minutes, it doesn't matter. You being consistently good is way better than being occasionally great. So, again, I'd like to thank you guys for listening, for really taking the time to listen to this voice out here. And again, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And I hope that you guys are enjoying this so far. Again, I put the word chaotic in the description of this podcast for a reason. And you can probably see it in this episode. It's pretty chaotic. But going back to the overall theme of small wins, and make your days count. Always. Again, expansion, contraction, remember that good stuff? If you didn't, check out episode 0. Thank you guys for listening. And I am trying to figure out the frequency of which these are going to be dropped. Probably Thursday night. So you can catch this guy on Fridays. And I can show my best self and put my best foot forward. And everyone too, because we're going to end for my 9-to-5ers out there. Hey, what's up? You can listen to this on your way back home or on the way to work. It doesn't really matter. Just you taking the time to listen really means the world to me. Again, thank you guys. I love you guys. And I will catch you on the flippity flap. Goodbye.